Welcome to the segment we call It Takes an Idiom to Know One, hosted by Sarcastic Scott, Jurassic John, and Artistic Ali.
You're going to begin with evil laugh?
Yeah, of course I'm going to begin with the evil laugh on this episode.
Well then,
Because
nice to see you too, Scott. Hello, Ali.
Hello, John. Here we go again.
So, Scott, you're going to introduce us?
No, because the introduction is already in the intro.
Okay.
Oh,
But I'm going to leave that part right in there. So, John, you got a very complex idiom to share with us today?
Well, I hope it's not so complex, but yes, I do. I have an idiom to share with us, or share with you, and it's under the hammer.
under the hammer. Okay.
Under the hammer.
Yes, to be under the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
So, I am under the hammer, or Ali is under the hammer.
I'm always under the hammer.
You could say that. I'm always under the hammer. Now, do you know what it means?
I have no idea because I've never heard of this one before.
That's interesting.
I have.
In the last episode, I claimed to be a native speaker and I knew all idioms. And now you have stumped me with this one.
Well, that was inevitable, wasn't it?
Well,
So, Ali, you've heard of under the hammer before? Yeah, so it could be a cultural thing. It could be like a geographical idiom. Maybe that comes from like Australia, where I'm from, or maybe from
From Pakistan.
part of the world where you're from.
From
Sub-
Pakistan,
subcontinent.
It's a bit different. It's like under the sword.
Yeah, okay,
A bit brutal, but yes.
okay.
wait,
So-
under the sword meaning
You're under a deadline.
the first definition of under the hammer or the second definition of under the hammer?
Oh God.
Well,
I
we haven't
guess-
established that there's two definitions. Let me maybe explain the first definition
Yeah.
because it's important how you begin.
Mm-hmm.
I am under the hammer means I'm under pressure.
Yeah.
I have deadlines. I have lots to do.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I felt it last week, and that's why I decided that we talk about this idiom. Yeah, because Scott was messaging me and calling and saying, I want this and this and this. And I had so many things to do. I really felt like I was under the hammer. Scott wasn't helping.
Oh, so Scott was the
Inspiration?
person holding the hammer.
You
Well, not
know,
necessarily, but yeah, that's how I felt. It wasn't Scott's fault. It's just how I felt.
I'm sure John is just relaxing in the garden with the potato beetles, just having conversations. Potato beetles, do you feel under the hammer today? Because I'm about to strip you of your rights.
Yes, Colorado potato beetles,
Yeah,
actually.
I heard about
Oh.
these in Central Asia. The
Yeah.
Koloradsky juk.
Yes. But yeah, so under the hammer usually means that you have a lot of work to do, you have deadlines to meet, and that's what under the hammer means. But it's interesting, Scott, that you haven't heard of it. Perhaps there's a phrase or an idiom that you might use in the US. What do you think would mean the same thing?
When you told me what the meaning was, automatically, I thought of under the gun.
Which
So-
means?
Same thing. I'm on a deadline. Something is due on Friday. I'm just starting the project on Thursday night at midnight. I'm under the gun to finish it.
Well, so that's great. So there we have the US version with a gun
Mm-hmm.
and the Australian version with a hammer.
And
What does that say?
And the Pakistani version with the sword.
And the Pakistani version with a sword. I think
So I guess
there's
in Australia,
a hammer
do
will do.
most people commit murder by hammers?
Well, it's happened, which leads me rather unnaturally to the second definition of under the hammer,
Yes.
which Scott talked about. So what's the second definition of under the hammer, Ali, do you think?
From what I've read online, it's
Exactly.
yeah, it's basically being auctioned.
Yeah, that's right. So when something
Or something is being auctioned.
Yeah, something is
yeah.
being
Yeah.
So when something is going under hammer, so this is where the prefix is important. If it's going under hammer,
Yeah.
then it's something to be auctioned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you heard of that one?
I have heard of that one, but I was going to ask you, have you ever attended an auction?
I have. Yeah.
Yep.
Was it for like fellow hoarders or was it an actual auction?
So you mean an auction with an auctioneer?
Yes.
And a gavel?
Yes.
So a gavel is the thing that looks like a hammer
Yeah.
that an auctioneer holds in their hand. Yeah, I have. In Australia, I went to a couple of house auctions actually.
Okay.
They were quite popular there, so they're quite a spectacle to watch.
What did you get?
I never bought a house with a.
No, but what did you
I-
buy? What did you buy at the auction?
It was a house auction.
Because it's like a hoarder thing. Oh, it's a house auction.
Yes.
It's not the items inside.
No,
No.
Okay.
you could buy the house per auction. Is that normal in the US?
I think jockey lots.
Jockey lots?
Yeah, you take your stuff, your old stuff that you want to sell to a jockey lot,
Mm.
or you have a yard sale.
Okay.
That could be under the. Hammer.
Those things can go under the hammer?
Yeah, because you haggle over the price.
Oh, that's a little bit different.
I mean, it's not. There's no formalities.
There's no gavel.
True.
There's no gavel unless
Okay.
the guy who is giving the yard sale is
So
kind of
maybe
strange.
that's not necessarily under the hammer. That's just like a
I think
negotiation, a barter, or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's bartering.
But I think it makes sense still because again, in the examples, it does say like
Car
okay,
auctions.
yeah, something's going under the hammer, as in being sold or being auctioned, or yeah, just like put on sale. So I guess
If you
that
had
might
two
make
people that
sense.
wanted the same item, yeah, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I think an auction has specific rules and traditions.
That's true.
Mm.
So there's an auctioneer, there's a person standing at the front, there's bidders,
Yeah.
and normally the person at the front has this hammer-looking thing, which we call a gavel,
Mm.
and the winner or the person who buys it is usually the person with the highest bid,
Right.
which we sometimes also call the hammer price.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question though. Would eBay fall in the definition of this?
Well, that's an auction, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
sort of an auction. It's
Some
sort of
items go for
yeah, it's
auction.
an online auction.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
because
would make sense, right?
yeah, whereas eBay becomes the auctioneer in this case somehow. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why do you think? What's the origin of the hammer? Do you think
Thor.
Thor, the barbarian?
The,
Donnerstock.
No, because we
Yeah.
use a similar type of instrument like hammer or a gavel in Parliament.
yeah.
You know, order in the house, and I'll be banging the
Exactly.
gavel on the desk.
Mm.
We use them in courts,
Mm-hmm.
where the judge may ask for attention or
Yeah.
order in the judge. So where do you think the origin of the hammer or the gavel?
Hmm.
Yeah. What do you think?
Thor, man. He's.
Thor.
I mean,
So
he's.
our legal system
He's.
and the use of
he's pre.
the gavel came from Thor, perhaps.
The
He's-
thunder god.
He's
theory.
yeah. He's pre Catholicism, right?
Yeah.
He's pre like.
Was he a real
democracy.
character?
Thor. Yeah, of course he was.
Of course. I mean,
He's a mystical gods, man. Zeus.
Nordic mythology, right?
Yeah.
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 But
And Thor carries a hammer. That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
a hammer.
Okay.
And that's kind of his weapon. I
Mhm.
mean, of course, now we have the movies and all of that stuff, but originally, yeah, it's the Mjolnir is like, I mean, even now you have people who still wear the pendant,
Mm.
the Nordic or the Viking pendant.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, it's a theory. I can't deny it without
but
proof.
I don't think it's that though. I mean,
I've actually got another theory.
Yeah.
I think it comes from the Masons,
Oh,
the Freemasons, because
that interesting.
the Masons use a hammer in their work.
Yeah.
And the tradition of Freemason meetings goes back quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And the Freemasons apparently also use a hammer
Yeah.
in their meetings to begin the meeting and to close the meeting. So maybe there's some type of connection. I can't prove that, but it's just a theory.
That's interesting.
So it's either the Masons or Thor.
I think it's Thor.
Hmm.
Okay, Ali, you can decide.
I'm gonna go with none of them because
Good option.
yeah, because I think like I mean, the idea of hammers being used for, silencing people or ending something is like, it could come from anywhere. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
but-
think about it, because they're pretty loud.
Hmm.
So that kind of quick,
Has an authority.
yeah, it kind of like silences people.
Like you would listen to the person holding the hammer.
Exactly.
Yeah, but do the Freemasons predate judiciary systems?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the mythical gods of Zeus predate the Freemasons?
True.
Yes. I'm not sure what the conclusion is. Perhaps we'll leave it at that,
Yep.
Well, why does Thor carry a hammer?
because he can maybe beat people with it. I'm not sure. But
Going back to Australia.
so, under the hammer, under pressure,
Yep.
deadlines to meet,
Mm-hmm.
or
Being under the hammer.
it's for sale
Yep.
per auction,
Under the gun.
or under the gun,
Under the sword.
or under the sword. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you. That was perfect.
Uh-huh. Thank you for listening to Enlingua Podcast, live from Dessau. We hope you stay tuned for more episodes.